Alright everyone, it's currently 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time, headed back home to Chicago today. I don't know what aircraft we're flying on today back home. We're supposed to fly on the American Embraer 170. Here's the earlier flight. We're on the 5 p.m. flight today back to Chicago. This flight was supposed to be the retro livery E170. I checked yesterday. I really, really hope we got it, man, because we're on the 5 p.m. and I haven't checked the aircraft yet, but let's see what we're flying today. Here we go, first impression. Spring break of 2023 went by in no time, and after a great week visiting family in New York, it was time to head back to reality. Today's flight takes us back from White Plains to Chicago on American Eagle's Embraer 170. 65 to 76 seat aircraft like the 170 and larger 175 are becoming much more common amongst regional airlines in the US as these carriers continue to phase out older 50-seat planes. So let's see what these so-called newer regional jets are like on this 2-hour flight back home. Today's journey kicks off at the White Plains Westchester County Airport, also known as HPN. The airport is located about 33 miles north of Manhattan and right alongside the New York and Connecticut state border. This means that HPN not only serves Westchester County, New York, but also Fairfield County, Connecticut. As expected from a smaller airport, HPN is very easy to navigate, and thanks to getting checked in online, I went straight to security and was airside within 15 minutes. Ideally, the check-in and security processes shouldn't take more than 15 minutes here, but with this airport getting much busier, I wouldn't be surprised if they started taking longer. The terminal at HPN is in a really interesting setup. It's 3 stories tall, with the second and third floors only being accessible before the security checkpoint. It looked like the second floor had some sort of a restaurant, offices, and private lounges, while the third floor has the famous observation area. I wasn't able to visit today, but hopefully next time, since now I know you don't need to be at the gate 2 hours before your flight at this airport. As far as the airside portion of the terminal goes, there's really just one set of bathrooms and one convenience store with all the basic pre-flight needs. The airside area is really just one big room, and the limited amount of available seating is a growing problem, especially with HPN becoming much busier. There just isn't enough room for everyone, especially when you have 6 flights departing within the hour. The seating situation is so bad that people end up spilling into the gift shop and waiting there, or standing right in the boarding area, and as you'll see shortly, it becomes absolute mayhem. Now, I couldn't help but notice that Breeze Airways' flight to Los Angeles, which doesn't exist anymore, is instead listed as being operated by now defunct Mexican airline Mexicana. I also didn't know at the time, but the United flight to Chicago will also soon be history. From June 30th, United Express is cutting all service to White Plains along with 30 other cities, citing pilot shortages. Our scheduled boarding time was 4:33 p.m., which came and went as expected. Now, technically, this is sort of American Airlines' fault because, as you can see here, the inbound plane was supposed to land at 4:33. To make matters worse, the terminal is usually packed with flights at this time of day, and even though there are 6 gates here, only 4 can be used at the same time. In such a scenario, inbound planes like ours today have to wait until another flight departs, and now you can see why most flights from HPN usually depart with a 15 to 20 minute delay. Boarding started around 20 minutes late, and as if the madness couldn't get any worse, Delta's flight to Detroit boarded out of the same door at the same time as our flight. They ended up boarding the Detroit flight first, and then followed by our flight to Chicago. There are currently 26 Embraer 170s operating in American Eagle colors, 8 with regional airline Republic Airways, and 18 with subsidiary Envoy Air, who are operating our flight today. Republic Airways will add 8 more 170s to its fleet, while Envoy will add 9 more. Envoy is shifting to an all E170 and 175 fleet, as the remaining Embraer 145s get phased out or transferred to Piedmont. The 170 was only introduced to Envoy Air back in 2021. These are all second-hand aircraft that previously flew with other airlines. Our 170 today has quite the history. It was originally delivered to Kenya Airways back in 2008 and flew with them until 2016. It was then that British regional carrier Eastern Airways took delivery of the aircraft and operated it until 2021 when it was handed over to Envoy Air. The plane received new first-class seats when it entered service with Envoy, but retained the old Eastern Airways economy seats that we will look at shortly. Envoy's Embraer 170s have 65 seats, with 12 in first class and 53 in main cabin, with 20 of those being extra legroom, main cabin extra seats. But the way the cabin is configured is really weird. Main cabin extra takes up all of rows 8 through 10, but then only the A and C seats in rows 11 through 14. The D and F seats in these rows are standard main cabin seats, but they're classified as preferred seats and thus cost extra to reserve. Also, this plane technically has 66 seats, but because of some complicated regional airline politics, seat 21F is blocked off, meaning if you happen to score seat 21D, you get the entire row to yourself. Today, I'll be in main cabin extra seat 9A. The main cabin seats are all blue on this plane, remnants from its time flying for Eastern Airways. Regardless, they are just like the standard American Eagle seats in terms of comfort, with adjustable headrests as well. One difference that I noticed right off the bat was the presence of a coat hook, which I've never seen on regional jets before. Aside from that, there's a tray table and large seat pocket with the usual literature. These main cabin extra seats have 34 inches of leg space, which was more than enough for me. All seats in the main cabin have one universal power outlet and USB port for every 2 seats, with the usual personal overhead controls.
Needed, escape path lighting in the aisle will illuminate near the floor to guide you to an exit indicated by signs and lights. Keep in mind the closest exit may be behind you. In the event of an emergency, leave all belongings and proceed to the closest usable exit. If needed, oxygen masks will drop from an overhead compartment. Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and pull the mask down. ID card shows how to use it. Your seat cushion can also be used for flotation. Pull up to remove the cushion and take it to the closest usable exit. When exiting the airplane, place your arms through the straps and hug the cushion to your chest. We will be dimming the cabin
before placing the oxygen mask over the nose and mouth, then you can breathe normally.
And ladies and gentlemen, we should be departing momentarily. Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff.
In just a few seconds, flight attendants coming through the aisle to do the final safety check to make sure that all personal items are all the way under the seat in front of you, and you will have your seatbelts on. Again, this is American Airlines Flight 3456 service to Chicago. Welcome aboard.
Thank you for flying with us today. A special welcome to Advantage and One World members. If you are not an Advantage member, you can...
The tray tables on all E170s and 175s are the same. They're quite large, but they cannot be extended towards you. All of the E-Jets also feature in-flight Wi-Fi, through which you can purchase internet access, stream free entertainment, and check all sorts of flight, airport, and destination information. Internet access, surprise surprise, was pretty steep in price. However, the entertainment selection was plentiful as always, and it was very easy to settle on something to watch. Snack service today was a choice of drink, for which I took ginger ale, and also a choice between cookies or pretzels, for which I chose the latter option. Now, even though I said the seats are pretty much the same across all of Envoy's E-Jet fleet, the headrests on this ex-Eastern E170 were super rigid and probably one of the best I've ever used in economy. Now, I didn't pay anything extra to reserve this main cabin extra seat. That's because main cabin extra seats become free to reserve during check-in, if any of these seats are still open. And that's all the more reason to check in online as early as possible. Soon, the cabin lights came on as the crew did their pre-landing checks, meaning we were officially on descent into Chicago. Today's approach into O'Hare is one that, if you're a regular viewer of these videos, you should be pretty familiar with. Our descent took us over much of central and western Michigan, followed by Lake Michigan, with 2 sharp turns before coming in past the city onto runway 27 Center. Overall, in terms of service, it was another decent flight on American Eagle with a helpful crew, good service, and a nice hard product on board. The ground experience in White Plains was interesting, but that's not the airline's fault. Still, I'll definitely choose White Plains again over the New York City airports because of how convenient it is. One issue that I think American could address for the Chicago flight out of White Plains is to extend its turnaround time. Having boarding scheduled right at the time the inbound flight is supposed to land makes no sense, so changing its departure time to maybe 30 or so minutes later might help with its on-time performance. But then again, HPN desperately needs to expand its passenger terminal because, well, you saw why. Once we landed, our assigned gate was still occupied, but instead of going to the penalty box to wait, which is right over here, we taxied across nearly the entire airport before parking beside Terminal 1.
Dear Fashion for the coffee, the captain speaking. We arrived to Chicago, but it looks like the alley to get into our gate today is going to be Hotel 3 Alpha. It's little congestion. For the reason we just stay here in a position just waiting until that alley is going to be empty to allow us to get in. For the reason, maintain sitting until the festival tunnel. Sorry about the inconvenience. Thank you.
After about 25 minutes of waiting, we finally got the all clear to taxi over to our gate.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close to our arrival terminal, and I need a big favor from some of you. If your destination is Chicago, if you have no connection, please be kind. After the seatbelt sign is off, could you please stay in your seat for a few more minutes? We have quite a few passengers with a very tight connection now after this halt. And after the seatbelt sign is off, we would like them to get off and deplane first. That way they can catch the next flight. Once again, please, if you have no connection, if your destination is Chicago,
So as I walk past this giant block I sign reminding me of my return to university, I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you have any feedback or concerns, feel free to drop a comment below. I have plenty of exciting videos planned for this summer, so if you don't want to miss out, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot once again, everyone. Take care, and goodbye.